Morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. It is Monday. It is a misery Monday in Pittsburgh. I'm still in Philadelphia where the weather is probably matching the mood of you all as it is rainy, cold, and foggy. And the Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers 27-14 last night in a result that I don't think was particularly surprising, with the Steelers coming in missing three starters, including their biggest offensive weapon in George Pickens and two key members of their defense in Larry Ogunjobi and DeShon Elliott. I spoke to last night on the Steelers Now post game with Zachary Smith that I think the biggest takeaway for me from that game is the Eagles are just a dramatically more talented football team than the Steelers are. Over and over again. There are very few positions where you will look at the guy the Steelers got, the guy the Eagles got, and said, yeah, I like the Steelers guy better. I mean, maybe a handful. And even the ones that there were, not all those guys were playing, and not all those guys were playing necessarily at their best last night. So I think for a lot of people, this is going to dash some unrealistic hopes. Saw some people talking about like, oh, there goes the 1 or 2 seed. Like I never thought there was a chance of that. Oh, there goes the Super Bowl. I mean, look, they still have a chance, but I never thought they had a good one, and I don't think this really, in my mind, changes where they stand in that conversation. There are 4 teams that are better than them. Those 4 teams are a good bit better than them, and I mean, certainly upsets can happen, but I wouldn't bet on it. But the Steelers can still accomplish a lot of what they set out to accomplish this season. They can win their division. They can win a playoff game. That particularly has been something they kind of put down in the sand and back in March and said, this is something that we want to work towards and we want to change. And so what do the Steelers need to do? I mean, they cannot become a better football team here in the middle of December. They are who they are at this point, but they can still accomplish their goal. What needs to happen for them to accomplish their goals? And I really think the biggest way to answer that question is the depth of this football team is going to have to continue to show up. In some places, it already has, where you have guys like Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, who I thought was maybe their best offensive lineman yesterday, playing good football for most of the year. T.J. Watt, ankle injury. I think he's going to be largely okay, but I would be hard-pressed to say he's going to be 100% in 5 days from now in Baltimore. Probably going to have to win a game with a whole bunch from Nick Herbig. And that's okay. Nick Herbig's a really good player, but like the depth has to show up. I have a hard time believing Donte Jackson, who has now injured his back in consecutive games, is going to be allowed to start next week. He just has not been able to stay healthy. He didn't look very good out there before he went down again with the injury. Wasn't moving laterally very well. I don't know if that was related or what, but Corey Trice, to me, is the guy that will probably start in his place at outside corner against the Baltimore Ravens, making his first career start. Like that, they're gonna need that depth to step up in a way that I'm not necessarily sure it was capable of against the Eagles. But the Ravens are a step down in competition. And while they do have one of the best playmakers in football, Lamar Jackson, they are not as complete of a team 1 through 22. And so I think the Steelers' depth has a chance to make an impact on this game, to make their impact on the Steelers-Ravens rivalry, to go win a division, set themselves up for a home playoff game, and really accomplish a lot of the goals of what they set out to do. And I think the Steelers, obviously, they match up better against the Ravens stylistically. Also think that when you look at the job that head coach Mike Tomlin has done over the years, he has always fared better with teams he is more familiar with. Obviously, you see the Eagles once every, 2 in this case, but 4 typically, not your typical matchup. I didn't think Tomlin had necessarily his best game, but I think like the two it goes 2 ways, right? Because not only if Corey Trice and Nick Herbig and some of the other receivers and some of the other defensive linemen and Cam Sutton and KZ, if those guys show up in a bigger way against the Ravens, and by the way, the wide receivers did not get open last night, but the Eagles have the number 1 pass defense in the league, and the Ravens have number 32. So, like, those guys are getting another shot next week, and it's one they can win. And not only would that put the Steelers back on track to accomplish their goals, and it would go a long way to solidifying some good feelings about those pieces of depth for next year. Like, can the Steelers lean on Beanie Bishop to be their slot cornerback for an entire season? Well, if they got to play Cam Sutton at safety and outside, and Beanie has to be the guy against Zay Flowers, man, that would be a bit like, and he does it. That would be a big step forward for a guy like Beanie Bishop to securing that spot and saying, yes, I can do this. I don't think we need to see anything more from Nick Herbig to believe that he's a player in the NFL, but can he be a part of a defense that is going to shut down Lamar Jackson like the Steelers have so many times? We haven't seen that from him yet. I'm interested to see it. Corey Trice, man, really interested to see what he can do given an opportunity. Not the world's greatest receiving core, but I think still challenging enough with guys like Flowers and Bateman that it'll be a good test to see what he's made of. Keanu Benton, elevated role. I thought he played a lot against the Eagles. Can he continue that pace on a short week? Can he bring the physicality on a short week? The young offensive linemen, I thought, struggled. They had their worst game on a short week against the Cleveland Browns. Can they show growth to say, this time we got it? They've got back-to-back short weeks against the Ravens and the Chiefs. Can they bring the physicality again in 5 days in Baltimore? If all of that goes right, and they probably don't need all of that to go right to win the game, but if all that goes right, the Steelers beat the Ravens, they rely on their depth, I think the outlook looks a lot better for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so, yeah, I still don't think they're one of the best teams in the league. I still don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but man, they've got a lot of pieces. But if you fold your cards and those young guys aren't able to step up, and you look like a team that didn't have much talent to begin with, and now it's missing its best pieces, can't meet the challenge of playing physical football in a short week, I think it brings more questions into how close the Steelers really are to being where they want to be. That's all I got for right now. Still in Philly, obviously. We'll be driving here for most of the day. Mike Tomlin talking at noon. Aaron Becker on the south side for that, for Steelers Now. Make sure you go over SteelersNow.com. Check out all the written coverage there. Still lots of stuff coming out from the game last night from here in Philadelphia. And then I'll be back with Smitty at just about 6 o'clock, maybe a little bit late today, with Steelers Afternoon Drive with our reaction from Tomlin, and we'll get Smitty's take on the game as well. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel. Still rolling in towards 15,000 subscribers. What an awesome number. So thankful for each and every one of you every day. It makes driving to Philadelphia in the rain to do this for you guys a whole lot more enjoyable. That's all I got for right now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, enjoy.